Why did you stay hidden? Why did you stay silent? Why did you demand faith instead of providing evidence?
Did God stay hidden, stay silent, and demand faith with zero evidence? Or did he establish himself and show that you should be able to figure it out? First off, he's not just been secret the whole time and nobody was ever, had any way of possibly knowing. Otherwise, you'd have nothing to talk about. Obviously, somebody caught on because that's why we're discussing our faith. But according to our faith, according to the Bible, we do hold and believe that in real life, in this real world, we started off in relationship with God and rejected that. So we didn't start with him being hidden. We rejected his presence, and he has repeatedly been finding different ways of engaging with us since. Romans 1 says, "For God's wrath is revealed from heaven against all godlessness and unrighteousness of people who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth, since what can be known about God is evident among them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, that is, his eternal power, his divine nature, have been clearly seen since the creation of the world, being understood through what he has made. As a result, people are without excuse. Though they knew God, they didn't glorify him as God or show gratitude. Instead, their thinking became worthless and their senseless hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man, birds, four-footed animals, and reptiles." We worship created things instead of the creator. We look at the glory of the immortal God and we're like, I'm not into that. The Bible addresses this exact question. It brings it up. It acknowledges that there should be enough evidence looking around at creation. And if you reject the idea that God exists, that's on you. He has created enough. Even more, God started off with a face-to-face relationship with people. Even more, after we rejected that, he continually engaged with people and they still often rejected him. And even like one of the craziest ones to me is in Exodus, when Israel is wandering in the desert, they have a moving miracle with them the entire time. They're following a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. And this pillar moves. 40 years they follow this. Their food every day is manna from heaven. There's this bread-like stuff that grows 6 days a week. Every seventh day it doesn't show up, but there's twice as much available. This miraculous thing happens for 40 years. And in the midst of all of that, over and over and over during this time, the people turn away from God and reject him. They question whether or not God's leading them out there or not. They question whether or not God has it in for them over and over and over. Even with the miracle right in front of them, they did the same thing to Jesus. Jesus is walking around doing miracles, showing them what's up, and they're still going like, I don't know about this. Look, in Matthew 10, Jesus is questioned by John the Baptizer's disciples and some others. And as they question him, he's like, look, it kind of doesn't matter what I do. Matthew 11, sorry. And he says, it doesn't matter what I'm going to do because you just reject me regardless. So he says to Matthew 11, verse 16, "To what should I compare this generation? It's like children sitting in the marketplaces who call out to other children. We played the flute for you, but you didn't dance. We sang a lament, but you didn't mourn. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, he's got a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, look, a glutton and a drunkard." He's like, it doesn't matter which way. And then he goes on to talk about cities that like Tyre and Sidon who had been judged. And he's saying like these hedonistic, sinful cities would have repented if they saw half the miracles that you got, Capernaum, if they saw the kind of miracles that you guys are getting here. And he says, woe to you, Chorazin and Bethsaida. The miracles that were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon. They would have repented, sackcloth, ashes. They would have gone for it and turned to the Lord. They're going to be judged less harshly than you because you had it right there and you rejected it. The point being, either way, people are going to reject. They're going to reject it with the evidence right in their face. They're going to reject it with no evidence, just hearing about it from others, taking it purely on faith. Both ways, people doubt, reject, and refuse to accept the evidence and what it's pointing at. Whether people were completely ignorant, like the Gentiles who, and I don't mean that they were stupid and uneducated. I mean, whether or not they had any context to understand that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah who has been prophesied for all these years, or they just, you know, for the first time encountered, a lot of people rejected him. And a lot of people who had no other context for it just said, I don't know who you are, but you must be God, because look at what you're doing and look at how this works. And so they got it. But then other people who should have known were like, nope, totally lines up with everything that we understand about the Messiah. Still don't want it. Still don't want to accept that you're him, not you. It doesn't matter. The lady, I'm sorry, but Rachel, I guess, whatever evidence is given to you, I don't know that it would be enough. I don't know how God would give you enough evidence, because there are so many accounts in scripture and in life of people rejecting things that are right in front of them. Skeptic's gonna skeptic sometimes to their own detriment, their own destruction.